Hey MMA fans, Cage Minds, your host Micah Frankel, here to do our recap for Bellator 67. We've given you 4 predictions, so we'll recap those 4 fights from the Bellator main card for event 67. Okay, first one we're talking about, it was Ryan Ford versus Luis Santos. We had picked Santos to win. We had picked him to win with a decision, figured he'd be more controlling. He used his judo background. We had seen Ford had problems with that. We go to the action. Both men start off very tentative, measuring, looking for their distance. Santos strikes first with a huge head kick, gets the fight to the ground, takes Ford's back. Santos is looking for big ground and pound. I feel this was a mistake. He should have looked for the rear naked choke with his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu advantage. Ford is able to survive the round without sustaining any more substantial damage. We go to the second round. Santos gets the clinch, pushing around Ford, gets him to the cage. But we warn you that Ryan Ford was incredibly explosive. Ford grabs Santos' head, pulls him down, a big knee. It's the knockdown shot. He's on top of Santos, so ground and pound. And we have a second round TKO. Huge comeback from being in trouble in the first round. Ryan Ford is explosive, and most likely we'll see him in the next Bellator welterweight tournament. Next matchup that we were talking about was Damian Grabowski versus Dave Huckaba. 2 big heavyweights. We had predicted for Grabowski to win, taking it to the ground, possibly winning with a submission. It's his bread and butter. We go to the action, and even though Grabowski has this very ugly stand-up, he's still a big heavyweight, a powerful man. His shots do make Huckaba flinch. He presses forward, gets the takedowns, pushes against the cage. He's being the aggressor, does get the takedowns, beats up Huckaba. When they go to the ground, he's in the guard. Yes, the ref does stand them up several times throughout the fight, but Grabowski was in control just throughout. Huckaba really just looked tentative to throw, scared of the takedowns. Unanimous decision, Damian Grabowski. Moving on to probably the next Bellator heavyweight tournament. Now we move on to the co-main event, which was the first of our welterweight semifinals in the 6th season. Ben Saunders versus Brian Baker. We had picked Ben Saunders to win. Figuring it was going to the decision, but figuring that he'd have the more crisper stand-up. Also thinking about the cardio problems that Brian Baker had. But it was very possible for Brian Baker to win if he was able to get on top and use ground and pound. Well, we go to the action and the striking. Somehow Saunders is just not as fluent in the striking. He loves to get in that Muay Thai clinch, but it's really hard for him in Bellator, only using knees, not being allowed to use the elbows. Saunders gets taken down. He transitions through many submissions. Personally, I feel he's falling a little bit too much in love with his ground game because he's just going for all these crazy submissions, and they look like he's going to get a victory, but then he loses it. And every time Baker is on top, landing that massive ground and pound that I said could happen, does that throughout 3 rounds, has the top control, has the better position. Then Saunders getting beat up, smiling and laughing, but really needs to improve that takedown defense. Baker, dominant, looked much better, did not gas out, put his game plan to a perfect execution, and went back to his old style of fighting, the takedowns, the ground and pound. Brian Baker is our first Season 6 welterweight finalist. He will await the winner of Dave Rickles' Carl Almasu. Now we go to the main event. It was a Bellator super fight. Michael Chandler, the Bellator lightweight champion of the world, taking on MMA legend Akihiro Gono. And we had predicted unanimous decision, figuring Chandler would be very effective with his lead right, but if the kicks of Gono would start flying, he could separate some distance, and we saw this kind of being played out throughout 3 rounds with Chandler being cautious and getting takedowns, avoiding the kicks, not letting his legs get beat up. We were partly right on that. Chandler came in with that overhand right, but it was more effective than I figured, knocking Gono right to the floor and finishing the fight with ground and pound very early in the first round. Very impressive performance from the Bellator lightweight champion, Michael Chandler, now 10-0. The sky is the limit, and he just looks so much better every time out. It's really amazing, I think, to watch him each time. Just the growth in his timing, his striking, his movement. It's really remarkable. As for Akihiro Gono, his camp announced after this fight that he retires. As an MMA fan, much respect. I thank you for all those great wars. And wish you nothing but the best in your future endeavors. So Cage Minds, we're 2-2 in our predictions. Kind of had a little insight to what we predicted wrong, as it was our other option in one case. This was Cage Minds. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter. Thank you for watching. Check out isno_uk.co. Great articles about mixed martial arts and all kinds of sports. This is Cage Minds. Uncage the war within yourself, and have a good night.